talking about how to write them as fractions. Writing decimals as fractions. What if I have this 0.3? 0.3. If I asked you to say that number in math, what would you say it is? Does anybody know besides 0.3? We can't use 0.3 as an answer. That number is, Kelsey?
3/10.
3/10. Now let's think about the words 3/10 for a minute here. If I was changing 0.3 to a fraction, and I know that I say 0.3 as 3/10, what fraction do you suppose 0.3 is? Think about that very hard. Let's go back and review. 0.3 is said as what, Jacob Lutzendorf?
3/10.
So what fraction do you suppose 0.3 is?
3/10.
Wow! Could this get any harder?
Yeah.
0.3 is 3/10, and that exactly is the fraction that it stands for, is 3/10. Okay, it doesn't get any harder than that. You do, though, you will have to, if you can, reduce. This one you can't, but if you can, you need to. Now that's a pretty easy one. Now we have to go to a little bit harder one. What about 0.25? How do I say that as a decimal? Have we talked about saying decimal numbers or no?
No.
We haven't?
Last
Last year, I'm sure we did. Why was it supposed to be the last one? Sammy, how do I say 0.25? Okay, yeah. 0.25 is 25 hundredths. And that you could reduce if you cut them both into, well, 25 goes into both of them. It's 1/4 as the thing there. How do I say a decimal? Well, you simply say what the number is after the decimal. That number is 25. Okay, and then whatever place the last number is in, that's the place, that value that you say at the end of it. It's in the hundreds place, so 25 hundredths is what you would say. Another way to think about it is this. However many digits are after the decimal, that's how many zeros are after the one when you make it a fraction. So if you have this, let's just go really hard, 0.03871, and I asked you to give me that in fraction form, well, you're going to have these digits, 3871, over 1 with how many zeros are going to come after that 1. And again, you just need to count how many places come after the decimal. It would be, Kayla, yeah, there are 5 digits after there's going to be 5 zeros at the end of the 1. Can I reduce that? Probably not.
That's 4.
Yes, it's not.
That's 5.
No, it is. How's that better? So you'd say that number is 3,871 100,000ths, as it would be. And that's pretty much the whole spiel. Now, people ask me, children, is this the same thing? Is that the same? Is 0.3 the same thing as 0.30?
Yes. Yes.
No.
You've got a little source of contention here. Now, let me tell you, it stands for the same amount, but it is not the same number. Okay? 3/10 and 30 hundredths is exactly the same amount of something, okay, but it is not the same number. And you have to be careful when you do that, because at certain times the book will ask you to write something in hundredths, and if they say they need it in hundredths, you have to write it as this. You can't put it like that because it is 3/10 up there. Yeah, salutes.
But didn't you say after the first number, it doesn't matter what it is?
It doesn't matter as far as how much it stands for, but there are times when they're going to want things in hundredths, and if they want it in hundredths, you have to leave that 0 in there. Just like with money. When we write money, if you have $10.30, yes, in reality, 10.3 is the same thing, but when you write money out, the store doesn't, you never see a sign that says this thing's on sale for 10.3 cents, or $10.3. Okay, it's always, I always add that 0 there because in money, we always talk about cents. Okay, and you need that in there just to make it sense. It'd be the same thing as $10.3, but we need that in there. Oh, reading and writing decimals. I suppose we should do that. So here, let's do another decimal here. 2.54. Let's read. How would you read that to me? And I suppose we should write the whole rules of this down here. There really is let's write down the steps for this. The first thing you do is you say the whole number. And by whole number, I don't mean the whole number, I mean the number in front of the decimal. Okay, first thing you do is you say the number in front of the decimal. Wow, it gets a little crazy over there. So in this number here, I would say the word 2, because that's what's in front of the decimal. The second step is, who knows what the second step is? There's 3 of them. Oh, there's 4 parts to this. The second step is you have to say the word and for the decimal. Okay, so when I say this out in words, I have to say 2 and, that's my second step. Third step is you say the number after the decimal. These are going crazy. Number after the decimal here is 54. And 54. And the last thing you do is you say what place the last digit is in. Say what place. Say what place. I can't get it to right. Last. What if it needs a new battery? Digit is in. And what place is this last digit in there? The hundredths place. Hundredths place. So when you say this decimal number, you say it as 2 and 54 hundredths. 2 and 54 hundredths, whatever that thing says up there.
No, you can reduce it to 47.
No, but you don't do that when you're saying the decimal. I didn't say to write it as a fraction. You could write it as a fraction, but when you say it as a decimal, it's 2 and 54 hundredths. When, by the way, do you need to know how to do this? When is about the only time we write decimal numbers in the world anymore? And even now it's getting to be a thing of the past. Evan?
Money or
Yeah, on the check,
Yes.
on the first line, it says paid to the order of. Then there's a box over here. So we're paying to the order of John Smith. This is where you put the decimal number, 6.83. And then on below that, the bank will tell you to write that number out. So you'd have to say 6 and, usually people don't write out the decimal because there's a fraction there, but you'd write 6 and 83 hundredths dollars. And then you have to obviously sign it down here.
Oh yeah.
Is that supposed to be a star?
No,
It looks like
solar system.
it's gravity.
What are you talking about?
It looks like a star running.
He says it's a solar system.
Is that mate? Mr. Henry.
How do you say that number right there? I'll take somebody here. Grace, this is?
6 and 321,000.
Exactly, okay. Please make sure that you only say the word and for a decimal. People are in the habit of, like, if they see a number like this, people in the habit of saying 202. That's not really, technically, you should never say the word and unless it's a decimal place. You should just say that it's 202, not 202. Okay, now this number here, 200, there would be, Peter, 200
Tens.
200 and 200 and 200ths. Okay, or how about that one? What would be that number there? Evan?
60 and 60.
What place is that in?
10,000.
Tens, hundreds, thousands.
Thousands.
60 and 60,000.